Good afternoon, James Ali Bashir.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thanks a lot for talking to Bayloric TV.
Yes, glad to be here. Thank you.
Great stuff. For those of you that don't know already, James Ali Bashir is the assistant trainer to Wladmir Klitschko, who made a successful defense of his heavyweight championship against Alexander Povetkin on Saturday in Russia. So, Mr. Bashir, what are your thoughts of Wladmir's recent performance?
I think that the two styles made for a very ugly fight. I don't think that that fight was a good description of what Wladmir Klitschko is and what he works for. And knowing him, he won't be so satisfied with his own performance when he looks at it. He's the kind of guy that critiques himself, and he gauges himself on his performances in the ring. And I'm sure that he'll find different things in and during the fight that he does not like.
So you, by your own admission, and probably Wladmir's admission, that was not great. The spectacle that many people would have tuned in to watch.
Right, that's exactly right. That's my opinion anyway.
Because there's been a lot, and I've been one of those people. I won't lie. I'll be one of those people that said that I was not impressed by Wladmir's performance. There was a lot of holding, a lot of clinching, not a lot of clean work. My biggest criticism was the referee. I felt that the referee allowed Wladmir to do. There's clinching and holding, which is tactically necessary in a fight. That's understandable. But the excessive amount of holding and clinching that Wladmir's doing in the fight did not allow for a. These are two of the best heavyweights in the world fighting, and we're seeing something more of an MMA match.
Yes, it didn't allow for the artistic capability of both fighters to come through. But again, the styles forced a lot of it. Povetkin is a short guy that's making himself even shorter, and when you're down that low, it makes the taller guy insecure in that he might get headbutted in his groin area. So yeah, his natural reaction would be to lean in, lay on him and stuff. So yeah, there was a lot of excessive holding, and I don't think the true artistry of either fighter came through in that fight.
Okay, the other thing is, for a lot of people who may not have boxed beforehand or know about a much heavier man like Wladmir Klitschko getting on the back of somebody like Povetkin and leaning down, that saps a lot of energy out of the smaller fighter. Your thoughts?
Certainly it does. Certainly it does. Sort of like Ali did with Joe Frazier.
Yes, but a lot of comments that were on my YouTube channel were that Ali did a lot of holding and Lewis did a lot of holding, but they didn't do that in every single fight. Wladmir Klitschko's had a habit of holding fighters and clinching them and mauling them in fights, which...
Well, I think that it's up to the corners to rectify that position during the fight, not in the pre-rules meeting and not after the fight. They need to confront the referee during the fight and say that and demand that it be stopped, and they didn't do that. In my opinion, Povetkin's corners were like a fish out of water. There's so many things that they missed, and I see all of these guys come to fight Wladmir Klitschko, and they don't have a clue as to what they're doing. I don't see the true professionalism in the guys that's coming to do it, right down to the hand wrapping. Okay. Right down to the hand wrapping. I fail to see the professionalism and all of these people who claim that they're professionals that's coming to confront the Klitschko camp. And when I'm observing the things that's going on during the fight and before the fight and leading up to the fight, I don't see the professionalism. I don't see that these guys are capable. I don't think that they're prepared for what they're going against in a finely tuned machine like a Wladmir Klitschko or Vitaly Klitschko. You've got to be professional. You've got to surround yourself with professional people. And I did not see that. Oh, my goodness, it was so clumsy and out of character these guys were. I was seeing...
Explain what you're talking about there.
Just different things. I don't want to expose those things because it would help prepare other guys it would help prepare. I don't want to expose those things.
Right.
because it would help prepare other guys to confront us. That's up to the fighter to surround himself with true professionals.
Right.
And most of the guys that we have been confronting over the past 10 years, they're just not in our league when it comes to professionalism. When it comes to professionalism, they're unprepared.
Okay, that's fair. I think that your team are very professional. Now I'm going to make a few things, a few comments that may be taken quite harshly, but hear me out. Now,
you're a journalist, I accept it, so go.
Now, Wladimir Klitschko is a heavyweight champion of the world, right? We had this discussion before. I don't think Wladimir Klitschko has any form of inside game whatsoever, which is why he has to hold as excessively as he does. Now, in America, Wladimir Klitschko doing that in America would not be on. I remember Frank Bruno when he went to America using the same holding tactics when he fought Mike Tyson the first fight, and the referee was on him from the first round. Bam! Stop holding, Frank. Stop holding, Frank. Stop holding, Frank. Now that referee, Pavon, whatever his name is, he seemed to be in the pocket of Wladimir Klitschko. He allowed Wladimir to fight the fight that he wanted to fight. Had the referee been sterner from round one and said, look, I don't want to see this incessant holding, it's got to stop. I'm going to start taking points off. I want a clean fight. Then that would have been more of a test of the champ's skills. Because then you're seeing the champ having to use his jab and keep Povetkin off, having to use the right hand, having to throw uppercuts, having to turn and spin him and fight like a heavyweight champion. Like Vitaly Klitschko. Vitaly Klitschko is very different. You're not going to see Vitaly clinching every 5 seconds. He's going to stand in front of the ring and have a fight with you. He's going to use his attributes. He's going to use his long lift jab. He's going to use his footwork and pivot off. He's going to use his right hand. He's going to make a fight of it. Wladimir Klitschko, it's quite the opposite. My belief is that he's afraid of engaging in a dogfight. He doesn't want to get involved in that. Hasn't got an inside game and has resorted to clinching. And had his fight been in America, I question whether he still would be in the positions he's in. Because if he keeps holding fighters and leaning on fighters, that's clearly an advantage on his part.
I think that, again, styles make fights. I think that it's up to the corner of the opposing fighter to confront the referee when this thing first starts. When it gets to the point where they feel that it's excessive, they should confront the referee and says, listen, he's holding, we want it to stop. They've got to make note of that. And they got to make note of that to the commission prior to the fight, that we don't want excessive holding. I think that during the meeting that one of the handlers of Povetkin did point out that Wladimir might be doing excessive holding, but they did. It's up to them to follow suit, to follow suit and say, we don't want excessive holding. We don't like it. We want it to stop. And they didn't do that. So, I mean,
But is that the responsibility of the corners or responsibility of the referee? Surely the referee is the man that has the final say.
The responsibility of both, but it's more the responsibility of the corner to confront the referee between rounds and say, listen, this guy's holding. You've got to do something about this. Our guy cannot implement his plan because of the excessive holding. So the corner, more so than the referee, got to say, stop, we got to do something. They got to make a stink out of it. They got to make noise. They got to say, listen, this is wrong. And they got to point that out.
It has gotten so bad now in boxing forums. Wladimir Klitschko's name is now Wladimir Klitschko. That's how bad it's gotten. Or Grabimir Klitschko. That's what's been said now. That is what it's got. People are getting sick and tired of watching Wladimir do this. And the next question I must ask, Wladimir is becoming an expert on holding and clinching. In training camps, is this something that you guys practice? I've got to ask the question.
No.
Well, he seems to do it very well.
Well, when you've been knocked out, I think it's a natural instinct.
Okay. Oh.
I think it's something that you don't have to teach somebody to do. Once you've been knocked out, our Tommy Hearns versus Hagler, after that day, you saw how well Tommy clinched. Anybody that's been knocked out, the way Wladimir Klitschko has been knocked out by, especially Corey Sanders, I think it's such a natural, but we don't practice that in the camp. In fact, we try to stay away from that. So that's something that he does instinctively.
Let me ask you a question. Now that Povetkin's out the way, there's lots of talk of Derek Chisora being a potential opponent. Now, Derek Chisora has a more busier work rate than someone like Povetkin. And I'm sure that Chisora is not going to allow Wladmir to hold on him. And if he does, he's probably going to foul him. Now, I'm telling you now, if I were fighting Wladmir who's doing something, I would have punched him in his nuts. I wouldn't have cared. Because the man constantly holding my back all the time, I would have punched him in his nuts and got the foul for it. Because that's just not on.
Yeah, I think Chisora would handle the thing differently. In fact, I just read something on Twitter where Derek Chisora called me an Uncle Tom.
Yes. What's your response to that?
Wow, I was taken quite aback when he said that, because in my life, throughout my life, I'm born in 1951, and I've been anything but an Uncle Tom.
I know that, Mr. Bashir. I know that for sure.
I followed the program of Elijah Muhammad as a young man, and I converted to Orthodox Islam after the death of Elijah Muhammad. I consider myself to be a civil rights baby. My mother and my aunts and, all of my relatives were freedom fighters, So I consider myself to be anything but an Uncle Tom. So I won't lash back out at that brother, because obviously he's been misinformed, or he has a misunderstanding about who I am and what I am. So, it's just a miseducated thing to say.
But it's a great opportunity.
Nobody has ever called me Uncle Tom.
No, but it's a great opportunity for you to let the world know what you do, Mr. Bashir, for sure.
Like I said, I'm a civil rights baby.
I know that. I know that.
And I'm so proud of my ancestry. I'm so proud of my aunts and my uncles and my mother. These people made me stand up. I'm raised here in America during the time of the battle of the great civil rights of the great Dr. King and Malcolm. I was there. I was a part of that. And so for somebody to call me an Uncle Tom, I think that he must have fell and tripped and bumped his head or something. I was talking to Derek there at the weigh-in, and I just think it's some kind of ploy to make a name for himself, but he's going about it all wrong. But if he called me Uncle Tom, I guess he had a reasoning for it. I certainly would like to get a better understanding what that reasoning is, so I can clarify things. But I'm anything but an Uncle Tom, and anybody that knows me knows that I'm not an Uncle Tom. So I don't want to go through a deep thing trying to defend myself.
No, you don't.
Nobody has ever called me an Uncle Tom, ever, and I wouldn't be an Uncle Tom because of what I've taught my children to be, my sons and my daughters, to be freedom fighters like myself. Absolutely. I'm big on Harriet Tubman. I'm big on Noble Drew Ali. I'm big on Sojourner Truth, Malcolm. I'm big on these people. These people are my heroes, man, and I like to emulate those people, So for him to say I was Uncle Tom, he's got a misconception about me. But I won't lash back at him, because he's a misguided young man, obviously he has a misunderstanding of who and what I am, so I won't lash back out, because obviously he's made an error in his judgment. That's all I have to say about that.
Well, I think the firing shots are being called out, because potentially a fight between him and Wladmir may happen. So,
yeah, I can see that would be an exciting fight for boxing. I would be all for that. I would like to see a fight between Wladmir Klitschko and Derek Chisora. I think the chemistry lines up very well. I think it would be an exciting fight.
Go ahead.
I just had a call. I just got a call from a reporter, a New York reporter, and that this Shannon Briggs has offered me $1 million to train him to fight Wladmir Klitschko at the Barclays Center in New York. Shannon Briggs has offered me $1 million to train him to fight Wladmir Klitschko in the Barclays Center in New York. That would be a big, big fight in the Barclays Center. And because, let me make this clear, because of Shannon Briggs' heart, because of his ability to take punishment, because of the danger of his punching power, that fight would likely sell in the Barclays Center because he's from Brooklyn. That would be a big fight. So
I think that would have been a great fight. You know, the time he fought Lennox Lewis around that time, but he took an absolute beating from Vitali.
That's my point. And that's my point. Who was that? Jim Jeffries came out to fight who? One of those old fighters came out of retirement to fight him. I don't know, but it's an interesting matchup. You know,
it's an interesting matchup, and money-wise, it's not a bad deal for yourself. But no, I think the fans would be more interested in Derek Chisora fighting Wladimir Klitschko, just for the whole volatile personality that Derek Chisora brings.
Well, I think that the fight between Wladimir Klitschko and Shannon Briggs would be a big fight simply because of the punching power and the size of Shannon Briggs. Most likely, the critics would say Wladimir would win the fight, but because of you remember Corey Sanders had been out for some time too when he fought Wladimir Klitschko. Corey Sanders wasn't active when he fought Wladimir Klitschko.
I'm not sure. Did Corey Sanders get a shellacking the way that Vitali put on Shannon Briggs? He was in the hospital for almost 2 weeks afterwards.
Yeah, he took a
beating and a half.
Yeah, he took a beating.
He took a beating.
He took a beating.
But hey, if I'm getting 1 million in my bank account, I'm not complaining.
It's something to think about. It's something to think about. They say everybody has a number, you know.
Absolutely.
I'd have to wrestle with my own demons on that one, you know.
Oh,
absolutely. I'm a loyal guy. I'm a respectful guy. And I'm a loyal guy, and I've been loyal to Wladimir Klitschko. You know, I've been very loyal to him. You know, so it was just something that a thought that came, and it was an offer that was made to me. I didn't say yay or nay on it. You know.
That'd be interesting.
It's interesting.
I would like to see Wladimir back in America fighting. It'd be nice.
I don't know. I mean, like I said, styles make fights, but I don't know that HBO would want it after a fight like that day. I don't know. I mean, selling fights, you got to have some sensationalism, and that fight was anything but sensational. Again, because of the styles, you know. It wasn't sensational. It wasn't pretty. It was effective, but it wasn't pretty.
Okay, and the two knockdowns, the alleged knockdowns?
I'd have to go back and observe those knockdowns. I know the left hook definitely was a knockdown.
Right.
I think that was the second round.
Yes, that was a legitimate knockdown.
Geez, that was a good, clean knockdown.
And Wladimir hit Povetkin with a lot of big shots. He did, and couldn't put Povetkin away.
Well, it just goes to show what Wladimir Klitschko said prior to the fight, that Povetkin had never been knocked down. He had never been beaten. He was an Olympic gold medalist, and he's a tough kid with a tough mentality.
How would Wladimir Klitschko deal with something like Tyson Fury?
Tyson Fury?
Yes. Somebody his own height or taller punches down on him.
I think Wladimir Klitschko would knock out Tyson Fury.
Based on?
Punching power. And Fury can't... Fury punches back. He opens up. Fury is not the kind of guy that grabs and clinches. He'll open up and try to punch.
That's right.
You know, and by him trying to open up and punch, he leaves himself open to get punched, you know?
But Wladimir comes from a gun-shy mentality. He comes from a mentality that as soon as he gets hit, he starts holding. So...
But Tyson Fury has the height and the reach to stay out of that. He doesn't have to be that close to Wladimir Klitschko.
But he knows that Vladimir's chin is not the greatest.
Judging off what I saw with Stevie Cunningham, Tyson Fury's chin is not the greatest either.
Yeah, but Stevie Cunningham, to be fair, has the heart to take the fight he had the heart to take it to Fury. Wladimir Klitschko didn't have the heart to take it to Povetkin. What he did was hold and grab. So in terms of heart, I would say that Tyson Fury's got a bigger heart than Wladimir Klitschko, based on this excessive holding.
He's a young guy. He's a young guy that hasn't really been hurt yet, you know. But pain has a way of changing people, you know. When you get hurt enough, you know, pain has a way of re-educating a person in their approach to doing something, you know.
That's pretty true. That's pretty true.
You
Everyone's
know,
got a plan until they get hit.
yeah, it's just like, you know, when you're young, you do different things. When your mother whoop your ass enough, you start saying, well, after that, you start approaching things differently because the ass whooping start to add up. And you say, this ass is getting worse as it goes, so let me approach this thing in a different manner, you know.
So what is Wladimir going to do to get rid of that performance against Povetkin and put the record right? What's he going to do? He's going to have to put on some sort of devastating performance in his next fight.
I don't know.
The public won't accept another old person or old man, and you know they want somebody credible who's going to want to step in there. I mean, you know what? Do you know what? People would take the Wilder fight. People would want to see Wladimir fight Wilder. Despite his inexperience, they know one thing: he can punch.
Yeah.
Hey.
I think that's a good fight too. I think it's a very good fight. I think that's a good fight. I think that's a very good fight. Wilder and Wladimir Klitschko right now. What boxing needs is drama. It needs excitement. It needs an element of danger, the way it used to be. People want danger. They don't want to come into the arena knowing who's going to win and who's going to lose. They want to come in there with an element of danger. Or if this guy lands a punch, or if that guy lands a punch, what would happen? They want to have that drama inside their hearts and their social makeups when they come to the fight. They don't want to come in there knowing how the outcome is going to be. I
have to say also that my original thoughts on the Povetkin Wladimir Klitschko fight was that Wladimir would keep him at the end of the jab and bust him up with right hands and stop Povetkin late.
You saw glimpses of that. You saw glimpses of that.
In my recent comments, I actually tipped Povetkin to get inside, hurt and stop Wladimir. That's what my last comments were, because I was of the belief that Wladimir had no inside game.
Povetkin's corner didn't have a clue as to how to change gears in that fight. They fought the same fight all the way through. Povetkin never changed gears. He never speeded up. He never slowed down. He never moved left, right. He never used feints. Yes, it has to have some kind of suspense to draw fans to the sport. But that fight, those styles that they had, made for a very dreary, slow-moving fight. You know, I as a fan, from a fan's point of view, I didn't enjoy it, you know. And Povetkin's corner, oh, man, it's just so much they missed. Pre-fight, during the fight, after, I just didn't see the professionalism. And it's mind-boggling to see these young men coming to fights for the world championships, and the corners don't have a clue. As for instance, they had a public workout the other day, and Povetkin was there with a guy that was doing stretches. They was doing stretches. You've got media people, a crowd of media people, crowd of fans, and you're doing stretches. No, you idiot. You do stretches in the locker room. When you come out there, to show what you're ready to do. They're doing stretches, leg stretches and back stretches and stuff. And I couldn't believe they took 10, 15 minutes to do it. I said, Jesus Christ, they out here, they got a minimum amount of time, and they're doing ballerina stretches. I said, these guys are fish out of water. I watched how the hands was wrapped. No. Not this is the heavyweight championship world. You're wrapping your hands like the local Golden Gloves.
Uh-oh.
Listen, we went to watch the wrapping. In fact, I left Vitaly Klitschko watching the wrappings. Vitaly Klitschko was back in our locker room while Povetkin's people was watching Lad's hands being wrapped. We had watched both of Povetkin's hands being wrapped and was back inside of the dressing room watching Wladimir's right hand being wrapped, and they had done both hands of Povetkin's. And when we got in the locker room, they were still doing the right hand of Wladimir, then the left hand of Wladimir, to show you the professionalism. And I'm saying these guys are fish out of water. They got no clue as to how to approach these guys. The only person or persons they could probably defeat Wladimir Klitschko is myself. I'd have to be working the other side of the fence to be able to go against him, because I've been there so long that I know what needs to be done to beat him. To put it like this here, I know what needs to be done to give the opponent the best chance of winning, but certainly not.
I don't think Vladimir's jab is as great as everyone made it out to be, and that Povetkin fight was an example of that, because Povetkin was able to slip the jab on many occasions. He was able to just slip the jab, and that's Povetkin.
But did you see the jabs that landed?
Of course the jab landed. He has got a good jab, yes. But
and it can be better, but it has to be, telling you, it's in a social makeup. It's a thing where a guy has to be comfortable using it. If he's comfortable using it, it's a vicious jab.
There's a difference between throwing, I'm sure you would agree with this, there's a difference between throwing a left jab and you know that once you throw a left jab, there's nothing coming back, compared to a guy that's slipping, rolling, and with the intention to knock you out. Now, Wladimir Klitschko throwing a jab against somebody like, I don't know, what's this guy for? The cruiserweight that came up. Mormek. Throwing a jab against Mormek, where he knows there's no chance whatsoever of Mormek hitting him, is like brilliant, fantastic. But throwing a jab against someone who's a little taller and is prepared to get inside, take some punishment, and land some of their own, that's a different sort of jab you're having to land.
I'm the author of this here. Years ago when I learned to box, you learn to box differently, different things that you did to protect yourself. You ask the average guy now, everything comes off the jab. I was taught that everything comes off the feint.
Right.
Everything comes off your feint, not the jab. And you won't hear nobody in boxing saying that. You heard it here first.
Well, I'm taking that now. I'm having that, and I'm going to take it and copyright it.
Yes, it's all right. But I'm the author of that, because this is what I was taught, and you don't have a lot of old-time trainers around. You got the guys where everything comes off the jab. Everything comes off the jab, because it's a cliche. It's a cliche. Everybody says it. Everything comes off the jab. No, everything comes off the feint. If you got a good feint, mode where you're feinting, you can do anything you want off that feint. You can throw an uppercut, you can throw a hook, overhand right, you can throw anything you want off the feint, because it opens the guy up. It makes the guy react to something that's not happening. And when they react to something that's not happening, they can't see no punches coming from nowhere. You can work a right-hand lead. You can work the left uppercut. You can work the uppercut hook. You can do anything. That left hook that knocked Povetkin down,
that was a good shot.
That was a hook off the jab.
That was a very good shot as well.
It was a hook off the jab. If you watch the punch came out like a jab and then turned into a hook. The punch came out as a jab and then turned into a hook. It was a dangerous punch, because the same punch that landed with Samuel Peter, you couldn't see it, because it started out like a jab and then you turn it into a hook. This is something that you work on over time.
I will give Wladimir this. He seems to have a bit more of a street fighter mentality about him and get a bit more dirty in his fighting. That must be something that's been taught. It's not something that he would have naturally done. That's something you would have been taught.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some techniques. There's some techniques that we do, because they're getting rough in there. You got to get rough back. You're a big guy.
So we go back to when I asked you the question early on about the clinch and punch, right? That he's clinching. If he's learning to punch in a clinch, surely he must be being taught how to clinch.
He's punching in the clinches.
Yes. So he must be getting taught how to clinch then. You can't hold on. You're going to sit and tell me that he's probably learning how to throw punches but not learning how to clinch. He must be clinching and throwing punches. Must be.
Like I said, I think his clinching comes naturally because he's been hurt. He's been hurt. He's been hurt in the fight, and I think the clinching comes naturally. But inside the clinch, if the window is open, you fire a shot.
Manny Stewart, I remember Lennox Lewis. I never used to see Lennox Lewis grab a man and lean over, put his chin down on his back and push down until he joined Manny Stewart. So and then Vladimir's doing the same thing as well. So that seems a very Manny Stewart sort of thing.
Yeah, quite possibly, yeah. Emmanuel probably implemented. I'm sure that Emmanuel implemented some of that there.
Right.
I just never saw it, so it's probably some stuff that happened between him and Wladimir in their private times.
Yes. So I'll continue with my conspiracy theory that Wladimir Klitschko is doing clinching sessions and wrestling sessions, because he's doing it so well. He's doing it so good. He's perfecting an art at that.
Right. Yeah, he perfected it in that fight, that's for sure. Because he mugged this kid Povetkin. He mugged him.
But in the state of the heavyweight division, I mean, if this is the pinnacle of the heavyweight division, if this is the showpiece, then what's left? David Haye now has an opportunity to fight for the WBA title. I understand the regular title. Your thoughts?
Did you see David Haye boxing with Deontay Wilder?
I did. Well, I saw clips. I saw clips.
You saw clips of it. Did you see what was happening? Did you see what was happening in those clips?
On those clips, David Haye looked very good, but there were clips. I can get clips together of me looking great for 5 seconds.
Did you see what was happening when he was landing those punches on Deontay?
Yeah, but we both agree on the same thing. I don't think Deontay's got any really resistance to a punch. But then, hey, let's wait and see what happens.
Okay.
But I know you say okay, but him versus Wladmir, I still think it's a great fight because Deontay's going to come and bring them punches to Wladmir, and all it takes is one.
I think David Haye, Wladimir Klitschko rematch would be a good fight.
I don't, and that's not a good fight. And I know that's not a good fight.
Let me tell you something. I think that it would be a better fight the second time as opposed to the first time. Because now David is in a place now where he wants to prove himself that first fight was a fluke. This time I'm going to prove myself.
But wait, what technical adjustments can David make for the second fight? He's fought the same way all his career. What's he going to start now? Having an inside game? Taking more chances?
He didn't fight the first time.
What? So he'll revert back to pattern one when he gets hit on the chin. As soon as he gets hit on the chin, I don't want any of this again.
Yeah, I think that he would get knocked out the second time, but I think he would take more chances the second time than he did the first time.
And that's why he'd get knocked out. Why would you want to do that?
Yeah, but it'll be exciting. While he's there, it would be exciting because I know that he would take more chances the second time. That's why I think it. That's why I think it would be a good fight the second time.
Yeah. You're saying that, but I'm not getting mugged off here. Deontay Wilder's a fight I'd like to see. I know Deontay may not take the greatest shot, but we know that's danger. Let's see that fight.
Yeah, I'd like to see that fight.
Let's see that fight.
In fact, I said to Wladimir recently, we need to get Deontay Wilder now. Sort of like Mayweather did with Canelo.
Get him now before he gets any better.
Get him now before he gets better. That's my thinking. Get him now before he gets better. You don't want a guy to get comfortable and then take him. You get him now while he's still green, while he's still making mistakes, so we can clip him and get him out of there.
But be careful, you might get clipped yourself.
Yeah, it's always that possibility. But my thinking is that Wladimir is educated enough not to get hit by Deontay's big right hand.
Wladimir Klitschko and Deontay Wilder would be similar to when Lennox Lewis fought Michael Grant, I think.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Sort of like that then. Because Michael had a chance to get Lennox too.
Exactly.
But he got mugged. Lennox was grabbing the head and punching him,
Yeah.
He was too nice.
Yes.
Michael Grant was too nice.
Trained by Amanda Stewart. And were you in that corner? Were you any part of that team at the time as well?
No, I was in that camp, but I wasn't in the corner.
Right. So you had some influence in that as well then?
Yeah. Lennox Lewis and I have always had a very solid, great relationship.
Yeah, grab and hold and throw punches, right?
We speak the same language, Lennox and I,
Yeah.
In fact, together Saturday night. We spent a long time sitting back, talking about old times and stuff. And
wow.
Lennox and I, we get along really good. We have a great relationship, and I'm happy about that,
Wow.
To this day, we got a good relationship, And Saturday night, we sat down, we talked about old times and about how he would approach boxing Wladimir Klitschko. He's talked about the fight that he had with Vitaly Klitschko. And of course, we rehashed all those things. But again, we got a great relationship. And
what
while we on,
I
told him he looks good. He cut those dreadlocks off. He looks about 7 years younger.
Yes, Lennox Lewis, Wladimir Klitschko. If it ever were to happen, what do you think?
Tough fight. Very tough fight. Very tough fight. Very tough fight. It's hard to say, because both of them have that Emmanuel Stewart style, So it's hard to figure out.
Well, one has an inside game, the other hasn't. And that big uppercut that Lewis hit Vitaly with, can you imagine Wladimir getting hit with the same punch?
Yeah, he hit Vitaly twice in the same round, in the beginning of the last round and at the end of the last round.
That uppercut, wow.
Those two uppercuts. He hit him in the beginning of that last round and at the end of the last round, the same uppercut. And that made a big difference in that fight. I
can imagine Lewis would go and try and have a dogfight with Wladimir. He'd want to have a fight with Wladimir. I can't imagine Lennox want to use the jab with him, get him up, get close to him and have a fight with him.
Yeah, but we only left to salivate about that there because when he's been out 7, 8 years? Lennox has been out 8 years, right?
Well, listen, if Wladimir is going to be holding the way he was holding against Povetkin, then hey. I think Wladimir would have a mental meltdown if Lennox Lewis decided to make a comeback and decided to go for Wladimir. I don't. It wouldn't happen, I don't think. But if it ever did happen, even now, up to now, I'd give Lennox a fair shot because he would prepare professionally for it.
Yeah, Lennox would prepare for Wladimir. He would prepare for him, but it's too much of a mountain to climb. I mean, he's been out for 7, 8 years. It's just too much to ask for. There's no way he can come back to the championship against Wladimir Klitschko and expect to win it with 8 years of rust on him. Nah.
It shows you how desperate we are, how desperate things are in the heavyweight division, eh?
Yeah, it's a desperation thing, you know. Like I said, as a fan, I didn't like that fight the other night. As a fan, you know. But like I said, you in the mode of the old trainer, you say, win this one and look good the next time.
Absolutely. So, where does Wladimir fit in the all-time list of heavyweights now, do you think?
Too soon to say. He's got some cleaning up, some mopping up to do. And you can only make that assessment when it's all said and done. You can't make that assessment right now because he's still moving, you know? But
I will say this much. He did look very light on his feet, and he's got very good footwork. That I will say about Wladimir.
And when he was relaxed, this is one of the things that I would work on. Had I been chosen as a trainer, I would have worked on relaxing. In my opinion, he's too apprehensive. You know, he's too apprehensive. He's too tight. I would implement the idea to stick and move more relaxed. Take some of the steam off your punches and go for speed and accuracy. And those speed and accuracy will get you the big punches. You will land those big punches when you get speed and accuracy. When you start pumping that jab and relaxing and slipping and sliding and moving, and moving and grooving, you understand? That's when you find your way into boxing. But if you're trying to knock somebody out, a few times I saw him jump in with these wild hooks, trying to hit Povetkin with it, and you can see him coming because you can see his intent that he's going to throw something. But you can get those shots in when you relax more, So that's something that I would have worked on, and hopefully Banks will learn to do that with him or start doing that.
Okay, just to end, obviously you also are the trainer of Eddie Chambers. Any update news on Eddie Chambers?
We've got to have a meeting to decide what we're going to do going forward. We want some fights. I saw Lebedov in Russia the other night, and I told him that we'd be willing to fight him, Okay. Eddie doesn't need to fight now. Eddie needs to fight up. I'm afraid of guys on a lesser scale because
motivation.
I gotta, Eddie's at his point now. He's got to be motivated. I've got to get him guys that could be a threat with a name, and those are the guys that he can get up for. You saw this last fight. He wasn't emotionally into the fight.
Yeah.
As a result, he lost.
Yeah.
Throughout training, he's like, yeah. This guy got 13 fights. Yeah, sure, I'm getting ready, but he's one of those guys that you gotta put him close to the fire to get some results.
While we're on this point, let me get your trainer's advice on something. Tyson Fury and David Haye, as you know, the fight got cancelled, and now the fight's been rescheduled for February the 8th. For Tyson Fury, how do you get a man who originally didn't think David Haye was going to come through the fight and was going to pull out the first time round, how do you get him remotivated the second time round for February the 8th and keep him still sharp, believing that David Haye will come through? because at the back of his mind, Hay would be.
I think to keep him sharp, to get him sharp, is the possibility of him fighting Wladmir Klitschko. He needs to beat David Hay to secure that fight. And if he doesn't beat David Hay, he may never fight Wladmir Klitschko.
But how do you motivate? The question is, how do you keep a man like Tyson Fury motivated? Because now he knows the first fight, Hay was going to pull out. Hay did pull out. Now the second fight has been rescheduled. Fight's been rescheduled now. So how do you keep a man like that mentally on the ball, even though he thinks that the fight won't go ahead? How do you keep a man?
Put a poster on the front door of Wladmir Klitschko. But you need another poster with David Hay saying you need to beat him in order to get him. That's how you keep him motivated. You understand? It's the difference in money. It's a bit difference in status. You need to win this to get this. You understand? If you're living in a one-room flat and somebody put a mansion on your front door and say you need to
wait, hold on. Oh, wait, hold on. You can't throw that at me, Mr. Bashir. Who did Mormek beat to fight Wladmir Klitschko?
Well, Mormek was more like a just stay busy fight.
Oh, okay. So who did Wack beat to Wack or whatever his name is? Who did he beat to fight Wladmir Klitschko?
It was politics. He was undefeated. He was big.
Okay. Well, okay. So, and the guy before that, what was the other guy's name? His sparring partner. Who did he beat to fight Wladmir Klitschko?
Right. A stay busy fight.
Right. So can't Tyson Fury be a stay? Wait, hold on. Can't Tyson Fury be a stay busy fight? I'm just being devil advocate.
Those wasn't even big fights. Pianetta to me wasn't a big fight.
Uh-huh.
I was bored the whole time I was in camp.
Right. So then why do you take an exciting fight on then?
Huh?
Why you guys take on an exciting fight then?
Listen, I'm not the brain trust. I'm just a trainer.
Well, you can drop some seeds. You can drop some knowledge on them.
No, I stay in my lane. I stay in my lane, you know. Speaking of lanes, Russia got the worst traffic in the world.
Is it really that bad?
Oh my God. It takes you, if you got to be at an appointment at 1 o'clock, you better get started at 6 in the morning.
What was it? What did it feel like being out there though? What was the whole atmosphere like? Walking to the ring and holding the belt up and such a big night.
A lot of pressure. I felt a lot of pressure because of the political stance between the Ukraine and the Russian people.
Of course.
I felt a lot of pressure. We even stayed in a isolated hotel.
Wow.
We stayed in a government compound where dignitaries stayed at. We weren't staying at the Hyatt Regency or something. We weren't able to go outside and walk around and see the people and stuff. We stayed in a government compound, you know, where they had a secured gate in the front. We couldn't go out and nobody could come in. Wow. So they were securing us for our own safety, I guess, you know. That's how thick the tensions are between the Russian people and the Ukrainian people.
So they didn't want to greet Wladmir and ask him for his autograph then?
There were some fans that wanted his autograph, but, you know, a lot of them, they just didn't. Like I said, it's a political struggle between Ukraine and Russian people.
While I'm at it, did you actually get to see Vladimir Putin?
No.
He didn't come in. No, he didn't.
If he was, I didn't see him.
Because I heard he was floating around in the arena at some point. I thought maybe he'd come in and congratulate Vlad.
He's probably there, but the security probably was so thick I couldn't get within a quarter mile of him, you know?
Okay.
Yes, it's a lot of, you know, and the same question keeps arising, you know, about the Jonathan Banks, the James Ali Bashir, the trainer thing. Yes. It's always going to be a question about that, you know?
Yes.
It's always going to be questions about that, you know, but this is what the champion wants, so I don't, it doesn't particularly make a difference to me one way or another, you know? If he thinks that's good for him, who am I to say that's not good for him? You know, it doesn't bother me because, like I said, the work that I've done with all of the fighters that I've trained over the years, they cannot decide who I am or what I am or what I've done in 40 years. So one fighter can't determine the wealth of wisdom, knowledge, and application that I have. So I'm good with it. You know, I'm good. I'm good with it. I can advise and offer my knowledge about the sport and how you should approach it. There's some things that I would change, and maybe that's probably what Wladmir doesn't want. He doesn't want change. You know, he's satisfied with the Kronk style of training, and I'm not a Kronk trainer. I've never been a Kronk trainer. I was brought in to work as a trainer for the Kronk, but I've never had a Kronk style. And probably he chose Jonathan Banks because he's satisfied with that Kronk style of training. And I'm not a Kronk trainer. I've never been, and I never will be. I have my own style of training that I've compiled over the years. I train fighters according to my belief of how a particular fighter should be fighting.
Mr. Bashir, would you ever consider coming to the Caribbean and sharing your knowledge?
I would go anywhere to share my knowledge because I believe that the knowledge that we all have and the knowledge that we all get is not ours. It belongs to the earth. It belongs to the people to come after us. I'm 62 years old. I could probably got more years behind me than I got in front of me. So yeah, I would come to the Caribbean. I was just asked to come to the Ukraine to train the cruiserweight kid. He's a gold medalist up there. And I was asked would I be willing to come there. I said, yeah, I would be coming there. I would be willing to come there, not just because he's a gold medalist, not just because he's a quality boxer, but I would be willing to go there because we have chemistry, and that's something that you can't buy in a grocery store. As soon as he came into the camp, he came into Wladmir Klitschko camp for 1 week, and me and this kid, his name is Usak Oleander, you know. He was a gold medalist in the last Olympics, and the minute that he came in the door, he and I worked together in one instance, and we clicked right away. We had a chemistry. He came back the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and he actually shared with me that he didn't want to leave the camp. You know, he liked me, and I liked him, so we clicked. And like I said, you can't buy chemistry. You have to have that chemistry. You have to have that trust. The trainer has to win the trust of the boxer, and the boxer likewise has to win the trust of the trainer. And we had that. So yeah, I go anywhere to spread this here, to spread this knowledge, because this knowledge doesn't belong. One of the enjoyments of trainers is being able to share the knowledge that they have, because they all know that sometime the book is going to close on their life, and you want to leave remnants of what you had to offer. So yeah, I would go there. I would go there. I want to work with boxers who can appreciate and listen.
Of course.
Listen, I don't want to be around a bunch of smart-ass wise guys. I don't want.
I appreciate that, Mr. Bashir. Grenada certainly lacks a world-class trainer and coach, and you'd be definitely welcomed on the island. You're 3 hours away on a plane from us. You should come and visit. You'd be more than welcome here.
Yeah, maybe we'll set something up and I'll come down a week or two. You know.
That'd be good.
Another thing, I like this kid, Dylan White.
You talk about Dillian White, yes.
I like him because he shows me some things that you can't teach. He shows me something that's in the individual, that individual has, you know. And I like what he showed me in the Wladmir Klitschko camp. I like his attitude.
Right.
I like his work ethic.
Right.
I like him because he's respectful. And he's not a wise guy that you can't teach, you know? Mm-hmm. So Dylan White, I can see this kid being somebody in 36 months. I think he can make some noise. But the one thing that I would do at this point, I wouldn't hold him back. Some fighters you got to hold back and move them slow. Yeah. Other fighters you speed it up. This is the kind of guy that's able to take giant steps in his career because of his heart, his uncanny ability to take punishment, because he took some shots from Wladmir Klitschko in that camp. And guess what? He kept right on coming, you know? And he wasn't trying to shy away from getting in that ring. Every day he came in the gym, he said, am I going to box today? I want to box today. He wanted to get in that ring. He wanted to prove. And the shots that he was throwing back at Wladmir Klitschko told me that this kid is trying to make some noise. And they relieved him of his position maybe a week. They would send him home. And so he got upset saying, oh, they sent me home. I said, no, that's a badge of honor. I said, because if I was leading the camp up as the trainer, I'd send you home too. I wouldn't want no guy like you here trying to prove nothing. Take that shit somewhere else. Prove it on the street somewhere. Don't prove it up here. We got the heavyweight champion of the world. We don't want nobody trying to prove nothing in no damn camp. You understand? We want our guy going into the fight confident. We don't want some wise guy, young shot, hot shot, come in here and clip him and knock him down or something. Yeah. You know, just to put a feather in his cap. In the meantime, the champ will go back thinking, well, maybe I don't belong no more. So, yeah, get out of here. Go somewhere else and play that game. Understand? So I like him. He's a very affable guy, and he's trying to be something. With the proper movement, I'm telling you something, Dylan White, in 36 months, with the proper movement, he's going to be right there in that top 10.
You mentioned Richard Towers. What's your thoughts on Richard Towers still?
The jury is out on Richard Towers. I haven't seen him in a long time. We worked together good in the camp when he was there. He's a big, strong puncher. All right? I don't know about his ability to punch, because I told you he got put down in Wladmir Klitschko's camp. Yeah. He got put down hard, you know? But he got clipped with a good shot when he went down, though, you know? He's a green guy with no experience. I told Richard Towers, I said, for the time that you've been in boxing, to be in here boxing with the Wladmir Klitschko, the heavyweight champion of the world, for you to be in here boxing him the way that you're boxing him, it's an achievement in itself.
Yes.
Because he hasn't been boxing that long. He said Wladmir Klitschko was the 12th guy that he had ever sparred before. Just the 12th guy, you know? So you got to give this...
That was the same training camp with Deontay Wilder, correct?
Pardon me?
That was the same camp with Deontay Wilder.
He was in the camp with Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder was in the camp at the same time, yeah.
Yes. And he got dropped.
And Deontay got dropped too. Both of them got dropped. Sam Sexton, he got hit. He got his nose broke. You know that, right?
No.
Sam Sexton got his nose broke.
Oh, boy.
He got dropped, put out. He was out. He got dropped and put out by Wladmir Klitschko with the left hook. The same left hook. It hit him, broke his nose, and dropped him. He was out. You know? Sam Sexton. You know, luckily it was a doctor in the audience who came right over and straightened his nose out. Just grabbed his nose and straightened it out. It hurt like hell, but it straightened his nose out. I like Sam Sexton. I like him. He's another good young man.
Yes.
You know, very good young man. Sam Sexton was there. My man, Michael.
Sprott.
Michael, Mr. Sprott.
Yes.
I love that guy. Michael Sprott, Sam Sexton, Dylan White. We had the whole London crew there, you know. We had a nice time. I liked all those guys. I got along with them well. It was a nice camp.
Do you know of Ian Lewison?
Ian Lewison?
Yes.
No, I don't.
He's got an interesting style. A good style. I think the sort of style, for 3 rounds, I'd like to see him fight Wladimir Klitschko. He's got a style that's busy, inside, Tyson-esque. Gets inside, throws big bombs. Stamina questionable, but if he can get himself into shape for 3 or 4 rounds, he could be a handful. Keep your eye out for him. He's starting to make waves again. He just knocked out Tom Dallison around. So look him up. I'll send you videos on him.
Yeah, send me some videos. I'd like to see him, you know. I don't know who it is, though. I don't know who it is. I'd like to see some videos of anybody that's good competition for Wladimir Klitschko.
Okay.
Anybody that's good competition for Wladimir Klitschko, I'd like to see him.
Okay.
You know? I think that adversity and diversity is good for Wladimir Klitschko, because it can only make him a better fighter. You know, it can only make him a better fighter. He gets a little emotional sometimes, and I think that's his biggest enemy. And that emotion could burn a fighter out and cause him to do things that he wouldn't normally do, the clinching and stuff like that there. But once the fighter, and you're never too old to learn how to relax. Once he learns to relax and harness his skills, you'll see a better fighter. Whether that'll happen or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it remains to be seen, you know. It remains to be seen.
Absolutely.
You know? It remains to be seen. You got to keep trying all the time to try to harness. But the sparring camps is the best place to do it, you know. The best place to do it. So.
Mr. Bashir, thank you so much.
Yes. Anytime.